What's up, guys? Right before we get into the episode, we want to give a big shout out and a big thank you to Wrench Towing and Recovery for being our very first sponsor of our podcast. So thank you to you guys. And real quick, I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit about Wrench Towing and Recovery. Wrench Auto Parts and Service is an auto repair shop serving DeGraff, Ohio and surrounding communities. They offer a variety of automotive services to keep your vehicle rolling. In everything they do, their team is committed to providing the best workmanship and experience possible. They're there for all your tire, repair, and towing needs. They are one of the leading auto repair shops serving customers in DeGraff, Lakeview, and surrounding areas. If you are ever in need of any of their services, you can reach them at 937-585-4281. Again, that's 937-585-4281. We really appreciate the people over at Wrench Towing and Recovery. I know them personally. They're great people. They've always supported me in the things that I do. So please, just whenever you're in need of those type of services, just go to them for that. Cole and I want to thank you guys for watching and listening. It means a lot, and we're just really excited to see where this thing is going to go this year. And please just leave a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and follow us on Spotify. Give us a rating. And again, very appreciative of everything. So let's just get right into the episode.
Middle of the field, and he is sacked. And holds.
Barton got to him, the nose guard.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the newest episode of the Huddle. My name is Irving Godinez.
I'm Cole Bart.
And today we have a very, very special guest. I'm really excited to have him on. He's the 2020 Southwest District Head Coach of the Year, the 2023 TRC Coach of the Year. Recently just earned league champs, so 2023 TRC champs. And then an NFL team, actually, the Cincinnati Bengals, reached out to him, and he was selected to be the 2023 Bengals Coach of the Week. And he was selected that because of week 2 against Northeastern. And his overall record as a head coach, very impressive. Me and Cole talked about it before we got here. 39-17. And he's also an assistant elementary principal at Riverside High School. Let's welcome Coach Hodge.
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for that introduction, and thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate that.
Of course, Coach. Obviously, very successful at what you do and just overall a great guy. So I just kind of want to start off with your story from the beginning, basically. So I just kind of want to know why and when did football start for you?
Okay, so I have loved football since I can remember. I'm talking like 2 and 3 years old. And this kind of dates me a little bit. I remember watching Dan Marino throw a football, and I just thought, man, that is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And he's still the best passer of the football. He didn't win a Super Bowl, but no big deal. But anyways, fell in love with the game early on. That's all I wanted to do. I have an older brother. He's 2 years older than me, coaches with me. And we were always playing football in the yard. So I started very young. As soon as I could play Pee Wee football, started playing Pee Wee football at Riverside. And then obviously that led to junior high football, high school football, chance to play a little bit of college football before the last concussion, and then that was pretty much it. But I always knew I wanted to come back and coach and teach and all those things. So it started very young for me. I love the game of football. I love everything that it teaches to kids. I could talk about that for days. But, hard work, perseverance, teamwork, the process, being process-driven, disciplined, and those kind of things. So just love the game of football. I think it's a great correlation to life and being successful in life. So it started, though, with just Dan Marino throwing football.
So take us through a little bit of your journey through Riverside as far as football goes, and any other sports that you might have played.
Okay, so graduated from Riverside in 2011. Played all 3 sports: football, basketball, baseball. At a school our size, even now, I tell my football players, "Hey, we're too small. If you're athletic, you got to play all 3 sports." So I did all those things. Always loved football. Always loved baseball as a kid. Basketball I just kind of did because it was to pass the time, play basketball with your friends. Yeah. And so I remember, though, very vividly, like 5th or 6th grade, I was sitting in Coach Walls' classroom. So Irv will know who I'm talking about. He coached junior high football at Riverside for about 30 years. But he also was a 5th or 6th grade social studies teacher. And I was sitting in his class, and he was talking about Riverside, talking about coaching football and stuff. And I just was like, man, this is the dream. You get to coach football, you get to teach social studies, you get to hang out with kids all day. And I'm like, man, I want to do that. And as I got older, I got into high school and stuff, and it really kind of, me wanting to come back to Riverside is kind of a result of my experience at Riverside. Yeah. When I was in high school, we had different principals all the time. We had different teachers all the time. We had different coaches all the time. I think I had 3 different baseball coaches in 4 years. I had at least 3 or 4 different basketball coaches. I think I had 2 different football coaches. And so there wasn't a lot of stability. And as a high school kid, we were very well aware that it felt like Riverside was kind of a stepping stone for people, and they didn't really want to be there. Yeah. And so for us as kids back then, like, we pick up on that, we know that, and respect is given and earned, I think, when you're working with high school kids, and we never felt that people really wanted to be there, kind of. And so anyways, that kind of motivated me that one day I'm going to come back here, I'm going to be here forever, and I'm going to coach and teach because I'm a student here, and I want to make an impact on kids that live here and let them know that, people do want to be here, and it's not just a stepping stone all the time. And so it's kind of cool looking back on it now that I've been able to do that in a roundabout way, and I do plan on being at Riverside forever. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it all originated, but it started kind of with Coach Walls in 5th or 6th grade. I remember the question, we were talking about African-American baseball managers in the majors at that time. And it was basically just a conversation between me and Coach Walls in class because I was the only kid that was answering that watched baseball enough. And so I'm like, man, this is cool. I can do this the rest of my life. Yeah. And so it all started back then.
And I know that you played with your older brother and some of your coaching, well, all of your coaching staff now, right?
Except for Coach Bell.
Coach Bell and Coach K, but you got the pleasure to coach him as well. But I just kind of want you to talk about how does it feel being able to coach with basically your friends now and your old teammate?
Yeah, so we talk about that occasionally too. Coach Red, my brother, Coach O is the same age as my brother, so they were 2 years older than me. So I was able to play football with them. And then Coach Smith, who helps out on junior high and our high school team, so he was a year older than me. So all 4 of us, I guess, were within 3 years apart and played football together. And you guys know how it is, off-season workouts, 2-a-days. You just bond over the misery, kind of.
100%.
And you bond over the wins and the victories, and then you also bond because when you lose, no one knows how it feels quite like the guys that are putting in the work and that are in the locker room and that are part of it. There's always outside noise, obviously, and but no one knows the work that goes in year-round. And so we kind of bonded at an early age. And Coach Smith is interesting. He's a year older than me. He was a captain my junior year, and that was my first year as starting quarterback. And we were playing West Liberty and getting our butts kicked at West Liberty. And I think Irv, me, I was, even back then, I was just very positive, very like, let's go, let's get the next one, control, and trying to not quit and trying to be encouraging. And after that game, those 4 captains, being led by Coach Smith, went up to my coach and said, hey, we want Bryce to be a captain with us because of how he handled himself and how he's just about the team. And so, I don't know, that was just a really cool honor. And so I feel like Coach Smith and I have bonded ever since then. And he likes to remind me, I threw him 1 pass that game, and he caught it for -3 yards. So it's a pretty big highlight for us. It might have been our only completion that day. I don't know. But so playing football with him and obviously playing football with my brother was awesome. I think his last touchdown was at Lima Perry week 10, and I was in at quarterback, got to hand the ball off to him. So this is just cool memories. And it's just, coaching's hard these days, and when you get people you can trust and that have your back, and for me, the number one requirement is if you have the kid's best interest in mind, then you can coach with me. And I've had a lot of people reach out to me and ask if I had openings or if they can coach with me. And honestly, the answer is no, I don't, because all of my paid positions are filled, and this is a lot of work to not get paid. And so I'm not going to let someone do this for free. I don't think it's fair to them, and the hours that it requires for us to be successful, it's just not happening. So to have that and to have those relationships forged years ago is awesome, and it's pretty great. Coaching with my brother is fun because he has no problem telling me in the headset, when he disagrees, and me, I'm the same, and we're all kind of the same. Like, no one on my staff has a problem voicing their opinion, which is what I want. Like, I want them to all be a part of it. I want them to all have that feeling of accountability and responsibility, and that not one person is more important than the other. Like, I'm, like you guys mentioned the record, which, I appreciate and stuff, but like, that's not my record. That's all the kids I've coached' record. That's my coaching staff's record. Yeah, that's our program. It's not a Bryce Hodge record. It's the Riverside Pirates. And so I couldn't do that without my staff. Coaching with my brother's fun. He's my best friend, has been obviously my entire life. I was saying a little bit, he's definitely been blessed by God also because he's teaching manufacturing at Riverside, which when that happened, he was contemplating a job switch of maybe going to Honda. He didn't know what he was going to, and then he got a call. I got a call actually from someone that's a friend of ours that said, hey, I think Tyler would be great for this. And he ended up applying, didn't know where the school was because through High Point, there's a lot of different satellite schools, and it wound up getting the manufacturing job at Riverside, which is like, it's not a coincidence. It's not by luck. I think that's a God thing for sure. And then Coach McGill brought him on that year. And that year, Coach McGill brought on Coach O, who graduated with my brother. And then I ended up bringing on Coach Smith and Coach K. And so it's really cool. And then Coach Bell, I like to joke about him because he's older than us. Like, he graduated in 98, so I was 6 at the time. And he's Grandpa Bell. But no, he helps us out a ton too, and his knowledge is insane. He remembers everything, and he coaches our D-line. So it's been a blast. I love coaching with my brother. I'm blessed to hang out with him a lot. And then obviously people that I trust and that are loyal and that also graduated from Riverside, which I think is kind of important. And I remind our kids that, like, all of your coaches have been where you're at and have sat in these seats and have played for this program, and they have a vested interest in you, and not only just you, but our program as a whole. So I think we got a good thing going. I'm very blessed because I haven't had a lot of coaching change. Stability is important, and I don't just want to bring anybody in. And so we've been blessed, and I'm thankful for sure.
So flashback to, when you were in high school over at Riverside. Take us through, like, some of the structure of the football team at that time versus now.
Okay, so my freshman and sophomore year, we had coaches out of Columbus, coincidentally. And none of them were in the building, no teachers, right? They all had different jobs. So we got to see them after school at 3 o'clock, and very different coaching styles back then. Not a lot of relationship building, very old school yell drill, I don't know how to word it politely. So that's basically how it was. There was a couple of them that were good dudes and that I enjoyed, and they used to call me Joe Montana because as a freshman I could throw the ball like maybe 40 yards, if that. But I could throw a spiral, and they just say, "Man, you just sit back there and just throw the ball. It's fine, Joe Montana." I'm like, "Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate that." And then I'd argue with them and tell them Dan Marino was better. But the defensive coordinator for that group, ironically, he was a funny dude. But he basically just tell us that we sucked, like our young guy scout team, right? Yeah. And I'd be like, if we suck so bad, why we keep scoring on your defense? What's that mean for you? And so I just talk trash with him. And so it was a unique way to motivate us, and it was fun, a little dangerous. I don't think they always had our best well-being physically in mind. Like, we got laid out by like starting guys that were 3 times like your size right now, and I was probably Irv's size. And it was not a fair matchup, man. But it was fun. But the structure was different where off-season workouts were not as consistent, I don't feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to explain unless you're in the building at school. And I know there are coaches that cannot be in the school and that are successful. But it was just a weird dynamic is how I would explain it. Like, they were just our football coaches, and that was pretty much it.
So was it more or less like a drill structure? Like, it was just wins and losses to them? More or less about the athlete themselves.
Oh yeah, I definitely felt. I mean, of course, I wasn't playing varsity at that time, but there was no relationship building. There was no, hey, how are you doing today? There was no. It was just like, hey, we're practicing. This is what we're doing. Do it my way. If you don't do it my way, you're gonna run, or you're gonna do push-ups, or you're gonna bear crawl, and do all these things like military style almost. Every pregame speech was a military General Patton reference. Which I was a big social studies fan, thanks to Coach Walls, I think. So I always enjoyed it. I always listened like, hey, here's our history lesson for the day. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Coach Pizzino was the head coach at that time, and I think he was pretty successful for the time he was there, but they ended up leaving. I can't imagine how sustainable driving from Columbus to DeGraff every day for 4, 5, 6 years would have been. So it just was a different dynamic. And after they left, my junior year, Coach Doty took over, and he was a first-grade teacher at Riverside, but he was on staff with those guys from Columbus. And so he kind of switched us all from the wing tee to the spread, which is a quarterback I loved because I got to throw the ball a lot, and it was awesome. Junior year was pretty successful, and then senior year not as successful. We graduated a lot off of our offensive line, and so it was good, interesting times. I got to learn a lot in high school. I also got to learn how I wanted to coach based on what I experienced.
Yeah.
Coach, I do want to go back a little bit and talk more about your journey straight into Riverside. I want to know what led you to Bluffton and playing quarterback over there for a little bit.
So I told you I wanted to play football, and one of the goals for me personally was always just to play college football. I didn't care what level, I didn't care what school. So I was getting recruited from a lot of Division III schools. They need players. So I think I visited Wittenberg, Wilmington, Heidelberg, Bluffton. I think I visited Defiance, and ended up choosing Bluffton because I knew I wanted to be a teacher, and they had a great education program at Bluffton, and it's fairly close to home. It's like an hour drive from the Graph, and I'm big on family, and I want to be close enough to if I needed to come home, I could. And so went to Bluffton, played my freshman year, loved it. I heard Cole on one of your guys' recent episodes talking about camp in college, and there is nothing like it.
It's different, man.
5:30 a.m. to like 10 o'clock at night. Every minute of your day is planned and booked and nonstop. And I just remember my first day freshman year, we had like so many guys at camp. It was like over 150. And I'm talking the very next day, there's like 30 or 40 guys gone already. Gone. And I'm like, whoa, all right, this is like survive. Just survive, man. We're just moving up the depth chart here. So that was a cool experience. And actually, my head coach at Bluffton at that time was Tyson Veit, who is the linebackers coach at Iowa State now. So he ended up leaving, going to Toledo, where Matt Campbell was, and he's kind of followed Matt Campbell. So it's really cool to watch that. But ended up getting injured in a JV Defiance game. I got hit late after a pass, like head-to-head. Man, that hurt. And so that was, my doctor's like, dude, you should have been done like 3 years ago. You're going to be done now. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But what was cool was Coach Veit let me stay on and like be like a student assistant, like manager, coach. So I got to see how they coached quarterbacks, which is what I loved. And I was a part of for a few weeks, And just to see that structure and how much work went into it, man, it was really cool to be a part of, and I really enjoyed it. Looking at the amount of student loan money I owe, would I do it the same? Probably not. I might have just went to a public school pretty close, and knowing that I have to see a neurologist every 3 months now, I definitely probably would have changed things.
Absolutely.
And just saved a little bit of money. And but I think everything happens for a reason. It's part of my experience, and I really enjoyed the getting to watch how practices ran at a college level. That was awesome, and seeing how coaches coached. And you want to talk about being about drills, and you're here for you have a job to do. That's college coaching. So that's pretty much that experience.
So my next question, kind of piggybacking off of that, what was the transition like from being an athlete and to starting into coaching?
So that was interesting because I had just graduated from Riverside, 4 years ago. And so a lot of those kids that were at least seniors now were at least, I think, in junior high when I was in high school, right? And so that dynamic's different because you're so young and you're pretty close to them in age. And but it was really cool because I had the opportunity to come back. And at that time, Irvin was playing for Coach McGill. And Coach Tim McGill is an awesome football coach. And he's taught at Riverside for 25, 30 years maybe. And he did a stint way back in the day in the early 2000s, was successful. And what's funny is when I was in high school, I'd stop by his room like every day and be like, hey, you going to coach football? Like just trying to convince him. And at that time, his family was growing and stuff. And so I'd always tell him I got the next best thing. I got to coach with him since I didn't get to play for him, I got to coach with him, and I got to learn so much from him. And so he helped me out tremendously. So transition-wise, it was honestly pretty easy just because I loved the school. I loved the game of football. And I wanted to work with those kids specifically. And so getting to learn under Coach McGill was a blessing, and it made the transition a lot easier. Absolutely.
And you also coached girls basketball for a time there as well, right? Mm-hmm. So take us through that kind of too as well. You were so used to being a football player, a football coach. What was that experience like for you as well? Man,
that was a very interesting dynamic. It was awesome, though. I will tell you, just when I summarize it, when people ask me about that, I'm like, man, it was an awesome experience.
Yeah.
And especially now being a dad of 2 girls, I finally have a boy on the way. But it was just incredible. And I told the girls first day, I said, listen, if I coach you any different than I coach the boys in the football team, I'm doing you a disservice. And I'm not pushing you to be your best. So I'm going to coach you the same way. Now, what I quickly figured out was I can still have the same high expectations, but the delivery needs to be a little bit better. I'm talking like first practice, I think I made like 2 or 3 girls cry. And And I always say, like, it's like, hear the message, not the tone. Like, I'm a very passionate, I'm very excited, I get fired up in the moment. And I think part of that carries the energy, you know, of practice.
Absolutely.
You know, and so, but man, I figured out pretty early, I'm like, man, I might have to dial things back, change things a little bit. But I had a blast coaching those girls. They were super athletic. They hadn't experienced a whole lot of winning, and I'll tell you right now, basketball is probably the sport that I'm like least certified to coach in.
Yeah.
Like I told you when I played in high school, like I played it just to have fun with my friends. But me, if I'm gonna do something, we're gonna go at it and be the best we can be and try our best. So I had a blast coaching those girls. They handled it well. They worked hard. I think we had our first winning season in over a decade, which was pretty incredible. I think that might have been Irvin's senior year when I took over. I can't remember. But that group of girls that were very athletic. And then I did that for 2 years. So right after that season, Coach McGill, I think, stepped down because it was after Irv's senior year. And they had asked me if I wanted to be the football coach. And I had 1 year in coaching the girls. And I was like, man, this is like my dream job was to eventually one day be the Riverside football coach. I didn't know when it would happen. And I remember talking to my athletic director and my superintendent, and I'm like, listen, if you'll let me do that and still be the girls' coach, I'll totally do it. Because I'm not going to leave the girls after 1 year, after everything I've talked to them about being committed and seeing things through. So I'm not going to just bail just for football after 1 year. And they said that was probably a little too much at the time. And so they passed and said, no, it's okay. It's all right. We'll keep looking. I'm like, all right. And I could live with that because that was my decision. They asked me, and I'm like, all right. And eventually, they thought they had someone else, and it didn't work out. And they came back and asked me, and I said, listen, my stipulation's the same. If you let me coach the girls, I'll do it. And they did. And I got to be the football coach and the basketball coach for a year. And I'll tell you, that was a very busy summer of my life. And I stepped down after that season of basketball because it was a lot. But it was a blast. But to answer your question, coaching girls definitely different than coaching guys. Some of the girls could handle my football style of yelling, and they were very coachable, and they didn't bat an eye. I had one girl tell me, like, this is nothing. My dad yells at me all the time. Like, yell more. Like, you need to yell more at us. Like, I can handle it. Let's go. That's how I'm motivated. And I'm like, listen, that might work for you, but you see the other 10 over there that are very emotional right now and upset, that's not going to work for them. But we had a blast. They were awesome. I loved coaching basketball. It was a blast, really. And we had 2 winning seasons. I think I mentioned, first winning season in over 10 years. And then that next year, we won a tournament game for the first time in 11 years. And so it was pretty cool. The game after that, we got beat by like 90 to Fort Laramie, who ended up winning a state championship that year. So, well, you know what? That tournament win was awesome. We held our hat on that. Absolutely. So, yeah, it was a pretty cool experience.
Absolutely.
Coach, I do have to compliment you because, you've coached these sports, you've been a teacher, and, till this day, I can see those Facebook comments that from years ago, the girls you've coached years ago, from the boys you've coached years ago, that you've impacted them in a great way. The way you do things, the way you impact others, and the way you impacted me, how does it feel, that you do such a great thing for the community, for these kids? Because, you've changed my life, you've changed a few people's lives that you probably don't even know about, but I just can't thank you enough for just overall not being a great coach, obviously just winning, but obviously impacting them outside of just the sport.
Well, thank you very much. And so when I hear that and I see those comments, it makes my day, makes everything. That is my purpose, I think. I think that's what God has blessed me with, this ability to go and pursue what I wanted to do in a roundabout way. The college football, concussion, injury, whatever. A little stint of insurance. I've taken a little roundabout way, but in anything I do, I've been successful, and that's not because of me. It's because I think God's blessed me and surrounded me with people that help me out. And when I get those comments from you and from other guys I've coached or girls that I've coached, or there's some girls that I coach that will still text me and tell me Merry Christmas, Coach. Appreciate everything, and that just means the world to me. That's my purpose. Because I told you guys when I was in school, it felt like none of the people that were around us were committed to us. And I always said, one day I'm going to come back here, I'm going to be here forever, and I'm going to be committed for these kids. And I'm thankful that at Riverside, not just me, our superintendent, our principal, our teacher, our high school teachers, they're committed for the kids. Our other coaches at Riverside, I think our kids know that we're there and we love them, we care about them, and it's not a stepping stone anymore. Like, They deserve the best, and that's, I think, what they're getting. And so so to answer your question, it's my purpose, I think, and it's to make a positive impact on these kids' lives, because I was that kid back in the day in that same exact classroom, on the same field, on the same court, you know what I mean? And so that's the whole reason I do what I do, is to try to make a positive impact on the kids. Doesn't always happen, sometimes kids will, I think, everybody wants to be the quarterback, the receiver, the running back. Yeah. And my philosophy is very simple. I'm going to put you where I think is best for the team to be successful. Because at the end of the day, if we don't win, I'm probably not going to be the coach very long, right? And so I know there's some guys in the past who have probably wanted to play other positions, but I'm going to do what's best for the team. And that's what I tell kids all the time. It's about the team. It's not about me. Yeah. And so I really do try to make a positive impact through sports and through teaching, through education, because I'm now a principal. And I graduated from Riverside, right? And I know there's kids that I graduated with that are lawyers. There's kids that I graduated with that are doctors. And it doesn't matter if you're from Riverside, Indian Lake, Ben Logan, Beaufountain, West Liberty. You can be anything you want to be if you put your mind to it and work hard enough. And it's the same thing for Riverside. And I wanted to be that for our kids at Riverside, so they know that they can be successful even coming from a small school.
I know, like, off camera, I asked you about some maybe nostalgic moments that you've had since you've been at Riverside. You played there, you went to school there, you grew up there, you had all these experiences there. Have you ever just kind of sat back and, like, chills? You know what I mean? Like a nostalgic moment where you're just sitting there like, this brings me back to the time, man. Like,
yeah, a couple. So, like, I think my second year. So I said my first year we lost to Lehman in triple overtime. My second year we beat Lehman, like 39-7, I think, at their place. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time in school history we'd ever beat Lehman. And that was when we were in our old league. And so we've got we're in a new league now. It's bigger schools, bigger teams. So those similar opponents are kind of gone. But Lehman has stayed because they were in our old league and they're in our new league. And so beating them was great. So beating them was awesome. Winning a playoff game as the head coach at my alma mater was great. And, I think we've won 5 playoff games maybe. And before we took over, we had 1 playoff win in school history. And so we've been pretty successful. But every time we win a playoff game, like, that's one of those moments where I'm like, okay. As a kid, I used to sit here and watch our playoff games. And we used to, we used to get beat. But I just remember being an elementary kid or junior high kid and watching those games and thinking, like, this is awesome. Like, and now being the coach, it's pretty cool. It's hard, though. It's hard for me to shut off my coaching brain. Like, when you win something or you have one of those moments, like, my mind immediately goes to, 1, what did we do wrong that we need to get better? Yeah. And 2, what do we have to focus on for next week's opponent, And so I will say, lastly, winning a league championship this year was awesome. Yeah. That was cool. And then watching our Building the Ship episode, I mean, that was just so cool to see. The bonfire at the end of the night, where I told the kids in June we're running the hill in 100-degree weather, like, hey, week 10 we're going to celebrate up here after we win a league title, and we did that, and we had the bonfire up there. And so I don't know, seeing the Gatorade bath, or the hugs from the kids, or hugging my quarterback who had dislocated his ankle 4 weeks prior and couldn't play in that game, but still was a huge part of us winning that league title. It's just that moment, winning that league title, was probably the most nostalgic, at least recently. So that was pretty awesome.
Coach, so you kind of mentioned it already. I do want to talk about this season. Obviously, like you said, league champions, and you talked about Miles getting hurt a little bit. Late in the week, actually. Mm-hmm. So I want you to just kind of talk about the injuries and the success you guys had, because you guys only lost 1 regular season game, and that was the first game. And I thought you guys, really have that one in the bag, but obviously just some things didn't go our way. So just kind of talk about the season overall.
Yeah, so week 1 we played Ansonia, ended up going like 13-0 and losing to Marion Local, and I don't know if that was the regional final, I can't remember, but pretty close. Yeah, I think it was the regional final. So Ansonia's been good. We knew they brought a lot back. We brought a lot back. It was going to be a good game. I think we scored on the first offensive play of the game. Dom had like a 70-yard touchdown run. And I'm thinking, all right, here we go. Here we go. Little did I know it was going to be very hard to move the football the rest of the night, and so. They just kind of outlasted us. That score is always deceiving. People are like, they beat you by 2 touchdowns. I'm like, it was 22-14, and it was 4th down inside our own 10 with like a minute left. I had to go for it. We didn't get it, and they walked in for a touchdown at the end, like with 30 seconds left. So it was a close game, but we lost. A really good program, and then we ended up winning 9 straight. But losing Miles to Lehman, which I've already kind of touched on, is a big rival of ours. We have a lot of respect for them. They're a very successful program, have a ton of tradition. And so that they have a new coach this year. They were looking pretty good on film. They had put up a lot of yards, stats, etc. They had some athletes. Their quarterback's a 4-year starter too, and everything ran through him. And when Miles went down, we were on defense. He was a free safety. Went up, made a beautiful play to break up a pass, and then just came down on the turf wrong, and his ankle was sideways. And I'm telling you, like you could have heard a pin drop in that stadium. And I just remember immediately, like my heart just dropped because, I played quarterback, and I call the plays on offense, and obviously I'm the head coach, so I spend a lot of time with the quarterbacks, and so I have bonded with that young man very much over the last 4 years, and I love him like a son. And so, man, my heart just broke. I just remember trying to hold his hand, get him to relax, and then I looked down. I'm like, is it your knee? Is it your ankle? I didn't know at the time. And he goes, my ankle. And I looked, and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's your ankle. And I thought, and his immediately, like, his parents were down there, and his dad cracks me up. His dad's like, you're all right, man, you're all right. And I'm like, come on, Scott, look at that thing. He got carted off, and I just remember thinking, okay. Now, at that point, I don't remember what the score was, but it was a close game.
It was very close.
Like, the first quarter just ended.
Yeah.
And it might have been 14-7 or something.
I think he just scored.
Yeah, Miles just ran one in.
Scored, and then the next drive.
So it was like a one-score game, and I just remember thinking, okay, I'm emotionally damaged from this. Like, and it's not because I'm nervous about my backup, because our backup was a junior, Gavin Osborne. Super smart kid, super talented kid, and Gavin honestly reminds me a lot of me. Like when I was in school, just from his pure like throwing motion, like he can spin a ball.
Yeah.
So I wasn't nervous about that, but like you lose a captain, a 4-year starter who's been in so many big games. He's been the quarterback of all of those 5 playoff wins that we've had, and so that was tough. And I just remember turning around and seeing my team, and you would have thought, they just saw ghosts, and I'm thinking, okay, you gotta get it together, get them together, and you're gonna have to be a coach now and focus on the rest of the team. He's with the medical personnel, and I can't do anything about Miles right now. And so I just remember first thing I did actually was get on the headset. We were on defense. I told my brother, I said, get Gavin out of the game. Gavin's our backup quarterback. Gavin was on defense as a starting outside linebacker. He's not playing defense anymore because Miles is out. And I think my brother was trying to keep him on the field because Gavin had just had 2 picks the week before against Troy Christian, and he had like his best game as outside linebacker. And so I'm like, well, he's done playing defense. So anyways, Gavin came out, started warming up. I got the team together, talked to them, like, listen, like, all right, we all know that just happened. Okay, we got a job to do. Let's focus on right now what we can do, and let's win this thing, and just play hard for your brother. And anyways, we ended up pulling it out. Gavin balled out the rest of the game. Yeah. He was like 7 for 11, like 180 yards, 3 touchdown passes.
Oh yeah.
He had 82 yards rushing, and he had a 50-yard touchdown run to ice the game at the end. And we ended up winning like 35-21. And he did all that with like 3 quarters of. That's all he got was 3 quarters. So, that was an insane game. That was the most emotionally draining game ever, I felt like. And so that moment though, when Gavin did that, I'm like, okay, I knew we were gonna be all right because I knew Gavin could do it. But like when you see it in action and and how he has to react, so like then you know for sure. And so that was all the emotions wrapped into one. And then we played Miami East, and then Covington got 2 more wins, and Miami East is a lot better this year. They got another new coach, and so anyways, good games, big games. Played Covington, who's been struggling lately, and we ended up beating them. And then that all kind of led to Week 10 with Milton Union, who hadn't lost a league game in the 3 years of our new league, and so we had the chance to play them for a league title the last 2 years, and for at least a share the first year. Then last year was a league title game, winner take all, and they just smoked us like 51-7. Now, they graduated 18 seniors off that class that I swear was like a Division III college football team. Yeah. They were insanely good. And they made it to the regional finals last year. So this year, we knew they had graduated a lot. They were a little younger. And so, anyways, went into that game excited. And then winning that league championship Week 10 at home The weather was not great. I mean, rainy, muddy game, which I thought led an advantage to them because they're running style of offense. But we were able to run the ball. We weren't able to throw the ball as much as I wanted to because I thought if we could have thrown the ball, we would have been, we would have been able to score quite a bit is what I was thinking. But it all worked out. We won 28-0, pitched another shutout. Shout out to Coach Red's defense. But it was just awesome. But when you asked the nostalgia question, like when I look back, there's still times like over Christmas break, like if I'm just sitting here relaxing, I'll go watch that episode of Building the Ship and the feelings I get when I watch that and seeing those kids and the hard work. And I mentioned Miles because like I remember hugging him and telling him like this doesn't happen without you. Like I know you couldn't play, it didn't all work out the way that we wanted to. Yeah. Right, but we wouldn't win a league title without everything you've done for our program and stuff. So I don't know, it's cool. But this year was definitely special. I always have to say that like you go to round one and play St. Henry and get knocked out by the 14 seed. That kind of ruins the mood a little bit, and that sucked. So it's kind of like we had that highest moment of celebration, only the 7th league title in school history, and then the very next week get knocked out. That one I still lose sleep over.
Coach, you kind of touched on that a little bit. You mentioned it already, but Building the Ship, I do want to talk to you about just the overall series. So I think this next season would make 4 years I would be with the team filming. But like the very first time, right, I was just kind of making hype videos for the next game. Mm-hmm. And then just last year, I came to you and I asked you what you thought about doing kind of a documentary type style video. And just kind of what are your thoughts overall, just like the series overall? Is it what you expected it to be? Is it do you like where it's going, or just what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah. So at first I thought like I think when you mentioned it to me, you're like kind of like a Hard Knock style. Yeah. And I'm like, Irv, I don't think we have time for that, man. You or me. And I remember us talking about that. No, like just to practice the games and kind of like dialogue the season or document the season. I'm like, oh, that's a cool idea. So I will say originally, I think the kids enjoyed the hype videos just because they get, you get to watch a hype video. They love that. Mm-hmm. But I tell the kids all the time, one of these days, you're going to have these videos to look at. And all these memories you're going to have are incredible. But I'll tell you who enjoys these videos the most, other than me, is the players' parents. Yeah. You wouldn't believe the amount of compliments I get from them saying how much they enjoy watching their kids at practice or watching them in scrimmages or seeing them on the field. Because you're a parent, you're in the stands, you don't get to see that interaction, and so that's awesome. Or in the classroom when you like film us practicing the alma mater, because that's something we do, so they know the words and don't screw that up. But what's funny is the kids that have graduated will tell me how much they love the Building the Ship series because they get to go back and watch their game, and like it's different than watching on Huddle with no sound, right? And I just think it's special. I love it. Irv doesn't though, but I've inked him to a lifetime deal. So I mean, we're good. We're gonna do this forever. It's just special because you're documenting. Like, imagine having these videos when you're in high school. Like if I can just see my friends and I playing football again from a different perspective, from like the sideline, from practice. Now, you would have had to bleep out a lot of things from our previous coaching staffs that would not be okay in today's day and age. But anyways, it's special. I like it because it's pirate themed. Obviously, we're building the ship, and then this year we like to celebrate and say we finally built the ship because we won the ship. So I don't know. I just think it's really cool. It's a lot of time that you put in, so I'm very thankful for you. You don't get paid nearly enough. Sometimes not at all. I try my best. But it's cool what you do for our community. And I think I've said it already, but the big thing is for our families to see. And I've actually, myself, I've gotten a lot of compliments from community members that don't even have players on the team. But they get to watch it. And they'll say, like, man, I love how you interact with the kids or how you guys interact, and I'm like, thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate that. And I know Irv has received anonymous donations, from Riverside alumni that are out of state, but wait every week to watch these videos. Yeah. Like, it's grown and it's huge. Awesome. And it's a big deal, and I love it, and I look forward to it. Obviously, I know our kids now. I think at first our kids were like, well, what's this? I wanted the hype videos. I'm like, trust the process. And once they saw what Irv's idea was and stuff, they was like, okay, this is pretty cool. And so it's been a big hit, and I mean, I'll probably go home and watch the last episode today. I mean, I'm holding my daughter on the hill after the game at the bonfire, and she goes, "We're the champs," and I'm like, "It's a cool, it's a cool memory, man."
This is great.
Yeah.
I I had the chance to watch that from the outside looking in, and I was even like, I would hang out with Irv and all the guys back when we were in high school, and they had the Diggs crew stuff going on, and I don't know, just to watch the growth of Irv's company, Irv's edits, and also see all that looking in. It was pretty cool because, I don't know, the way I see it is some of these kids might be having a rough home life or have some things going on at home, and the videos that are being pushed out there and the build the ship, that could give somebody a little bit of positivity and light to their life. And that's another reason why, Irv and I started this whole thing, and it's been a blessing, and it's good to see the growth, and also, it's a blessing to be able to hear your story, and it's been awesome having you on here today. Seriously.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I think back to when Irv asked me to come on. It made me think his first ever video he did for me was when I was girls basketball coach.
Oh yeah.
He made a motivational hype video for the girls, and we ended up winning that league game. I mean, we killed whoever it was. I mean, I'm like, man, this is great. All right, Irv, I need one for every basketball game, which is like 3 a week, But it's just funny how far we've come working together.
Yeah.
And I would say a lot of that credit is to Irv, because coaching him, hardworking guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, no task is too much. Puts in the work, and he loves his community and his school. And there's a million times I ask him questions, and he never is with a no. It's I'll see what I can do, and I can always tell. I can always tell by his facial expressions whether how tough the job's gonna be or not. Because I tell Irv all the time, I don't know all the work that goes into it. I know it's a lot, but I could not do it. And I always I have an idea, and I ask him, and he goes, all right, I'll see what I can do. And but he never tells me no. And I'll tell you what, that's how he was as a player and as a student. Hardworking guy who just always got the job done no matter what. So I'm thankful that he's a part of our family, and he rides the bus with us to our away games. I mean, I get him playoff shirts any chance I can. You know what I mean? Because he's a big part. He's our, what do we call you, our media producer? Is that what we said? Yeah, he's our media producer. And I think it's really cool. A Division VII football school has a media producer, number one. Yeah. And it's the good publicity for our school is huge. Like my ultimate goal too, because I love Riverside, and when they get to see Riverside in a different light, other than just, hey, I'm reading the score of the game in a paper. Well, now there's a video to it. You get to see the work. You get to see
emotion.
Yeah, the emotional input from the kids and the coaches and the community. I mean the homecoming parade and the bonfire stuff, those are so cool. And I don't know, I just can't thank Irv enough, and Lord knows I'll never be able to pay him enough, but I try. And I just appreciate what he's done for our football team.
Man, I mean, I don't even know what to say. I mean, you guys just went on the rant right there. I mean, thank you so much. I mean, that's the least I could say. And Coach, just like you talked about from the very beginning, my very first video I think on my Irv's Edits page is the girls basketball video. So I mean, to just think about how we started all the way back then to where we're at now. I mean, I'm just forever grateful that we've built, something like this. So
look at us.
Yeah, I know.
It's huge.
So just kind of end it off on this last message, Coach. Is there anything you would like to say, to the community or to some of those players for this upcoming season?
I mean, first I want to thank all the players that I've coached in the past, because your class, and then my first year as head coach. I'm talking to Jeff Wren, Cody Roach, that crew. I mean, there wasn't as many that year. Justin Ritzma, but we won a league title this year, and every kid that I've coached has been a part of that and is a part of that success. That next year, Kale Long, Ethan Jackson's group, Ethan Burrows, that grade. So every kid and every class I've had has been special. I think of Devin Frilling, who I just texted the other day because the Bengals beat the Vikings, and to still have those relationships with those kids, and I'm just very thankful for all the kids I've had the opportunity to coach, and I hope you asked earlier, and I just said I think it's my purpose is to try to make a positive impact on everyone that I get to interact with, and so that's what I try to do for the kids that I'm about to continue coaching. I mean, no one cares what you did yesterday, so enjoy your league championship while you can. But I mean, we have a target on our back next year, and we got plenty of work to do. And last I checked, our goal wasn't to be knocked out round one, so I'm obviously not satisfied, and we got plenty of work to do. So thankfully we have off-season liftings already started. We actually have lifting tomorrow morning. So I'm very blessed, and for our community, I'm thankful to be a Riverside guy and to be an elementary principal at our school and to interact with kids that are age 4 to age 12, and then go to football practice and interact with kids that are like 14 to 18 years old. And so I try really hard to make a positive impact on all of our kids that we interact with, and I know our administration does. Dr. Mann, Mrs. Kaufman, our treasurer, Mr. Fitzpatrick. I mean, every time we need anything, it's always kid first. And then after the kids, it's always, okay, staff, what's our staff need? And then every decision's made with our community members' tax money in mind, right? Like, we don't want to just blow money just to blow money. Community Health and Wellness Clinic, it's been a blessing, and it's only been open since October. Our staff uses it, our students use it, and it's open to our community. And, we're not in school for the 2 weeks because of Christmas break, and it's open. And they have their own hours, so it's a separate entity. I mean, it's on our school grounds, separate from the school, but it's attached. So it's just a blessing that I think is going to benefit not only DeGraff, but our DeGraff, Quincy, Logansville. This is a very rural area. It takes 15, 20 minutes to get to any appointment, doctors, whatever it is. And so that's going to be an advantage. And then another thing that Riverside, I think, has done well, I talk about this all the time. I kind of mentioned earlier when you asked me about my high school experience and how it was a lot of instability, a lot of different administrations. Financially, we were not in a good spot either. Like, it was a pay to play. My parents had to pay like $135 for my brother and I to play every sport. Part of that was a play fee, participation, and then part of that was transportation fee. And so, I played 3 sports. He played 2 it was like, I did the math one time. It was around $2,000, like between $1,000 and $2,000. And we're doing so well financially at Riverside that our student athletes don't have to pay to play. They don't have a transportation fee. Our school has waived academic fees, technology fees. They've high school students, or any junior high school, elementary student can get into any game for free. They don't have to pay for a ticket for home games. And so that's obviously increased student attendance at games, but another benefit for our families. And so just, there's a lot of good things going on at Riverside, so anytime I can, I shout them out. And it's a little weird because I'm part of the administration, but I always say it from this perspective. This was all being taken care of before I even joined in, and so it's another reason why I think we have great things going on, and it's a big credit to Dr. Mann, Mr. Fitzpatrick, and our school board. They've done a great job of being very good stewards of our community's money at the school. And like I said, you built a $2 million community health and wellness clinic, you get a $600,000 grant from the state, and then you cover the rest with yourself. That means you're doing well financially. You're not asking for additional monies, and so it's so for our community, just another reminder that Riverside is blessed, and they've done a great job, and I'm thankful to work there. Go Pirates!
And as someone that graduated from there, played sports there, and just loves that place, I'm really happy to hear all the great things that are going on right now. And obviously just successful sports seasons. The golf team just went undefeated, TRC champions, football team's TRC champions, junior high football team, TRC champions. We just won a
bowling state championship last year.
So it's awesome to see. And Coach, I'm just really happy and really thankful that you came on today. And it was great just to hear your story. And hopefully, we get to motivate some people and just for people to get to know more about you, because you're just a great overall person. So again, thank you for coming on.
I appreciate that, but I'm gonna have to fix that. It's not about me, Irv. It's about the kids and the community and about Riverside, and I hope maybe we'll motivate someone to open and enroll to Riverside. Who knows? Go Pirates!
And we appreciate everyone watching this episode, and just join us in the huddle. Perfect. That's it.
Right on.
Thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.